My name is Tim Fedak, and this is the first summary of my look at Notebook 104 by Charles Lyell. These are his private, personal notebooks that Charles Lyell kept during his travels and his research. The University of Edinburgh recently attained these 294 notebooks after a successful fundraising campaign. And just yesterday, I learned that Notebook 104 was now digitized and available on the University of Edinburgh website. Here's a quick look at what I've been able to find. It's about 164 pages. The very back includes an index showing that the contents of the notebook record Charles Lyell's visit to Nova Scotia in August of 1842. So, as far as I know, no one has looked at these notebooks from a perspective of what he recorded during his trip to Nova Scotia. So this table of contents is just loaded with geocultural significance. Charles Lyell's visit to Nova Scotia in 1842 was said by Dawson to start the beginning of a new era in geology. So here's just a few highlights of what I've been able to determine as being perhaps the more significant things that just immediately jumped out at me as I look at these pages in the notebook. This is page 48. There's many of these cross-sectional drawings throughout his notebook during his trip, but this one in particular, just so important. This is his rough sketch, and then a secondary inked up version of his time at Joggins. The text says that he's noting the gypsum and limestone half a mile south of village of Minuti and the dipping of the beds, these gypsum beds going underneath the coal cliffs. This sketch was what was used to produce figure 18 in his travels of North America. Other things that immediately jump out in the index are Lyell's mention of Cape Breton and his interactions with Richard Brown, a mining engineer in Cape Breton. One of them being this cross-sectional drawing, and I've enhanced it with Photoshop to bring out some more of the contrast. So this is a section of Baudelaire Island in Cape Breton. Another Cape Breton reference is just a small little note that he talks about the coal plants of Cape Breton, and he has this small little diagram and a note to look for specimens of this kind. And it would be these fossils that Brown had sent to the Geological Society that Bunbury then described in 1845. There's several journal pages, so these are just noting where he was or what he was seeing at certain spots. And one of these journal pages at the top says, Diluvium, ballast of Noah's Ark, in quotes. It's interesting to see where this quote came from was in Halliburton's 1838 The Clockmaker, page 253. One half of the country got all of the ballast of Noah's Ark thrown out there, says one of the characters in the Sam Slick stories. There's also notes at the back, which are really interesting. Beyond his observations of the geology, there's the discussion of how he moved samples or how samples were sent to him when he went back to London. So this is an index of boxes that he received from Nova Scotia. Box A was sent from Truro with Pictou specimens and part of Shubenacadie added. Whereas Box D were specimens from Joggins sent via Parsbro by Gesner, and that's Abraham Gesner. Another neat little observations in this area at the back of the notebook are lists that he's made about what he needs in terms of getting ready to travel. Lists, just what he needs to gather together. So at the bottom, page 126, letters to post, and he needs to buy a pencil. And then on the other page, all of the different containers and boxes and bags that he's bringing, as well as a drafting box and sticks, and at the very bottom 3 cloaks and 2 umbrellas. So he's getting ready to travel the countryside and explore the geology of Nova Scotia. So these notes are complementing their first-hand accounts, first-hand markings and sketches and drawings and maps that relate to his work that would then be published in the Travels of North America in 1845. Special thanks to Lyell Time, University of Edinburgh, and all those sponsors and supporters who made the purchase of Lyell's books possible. This is going to be an incredibly rich historical resource to understand the foundations of modern geology as they occurred here in Nova Scotia in 1842.